But, credit to the LA Rams there for not giving up the first quarter. And even for a part of the second quarter as well, they didn't look in it. They looked like it was just going to be one way going in this game.
Yeah, you have to give massive credit to the LA Rams because we're going to talk about injuries, I'm sure, on both sides of the ball. But the Rams are down a bunch of starting offensive linemen. They're down Puka Nacua. They're down Cooper Kupp. There's no way that Kyron Williams should be able to run the ball the way he's been able to. There's no way Matt Stafford should be able to be protected the way he has, to be able to find guys downfield. And huge credit to Sean McVay and to that whole coaching staff today as well, because from a Rams perspective, you look at what we've got from Chase Blackburn as the special teams coordinator with the fake punt. You look at what Mike LaFleur and Sean McVay have put together with the trick plays downfield, the wide receiver passes, everything they have done today. They've gone Super Bowls. They have made sure that they have done everything they can to go and win this game of football. And there's a couple of guys on the 49ers sideline who can feel very hard done by to be on a losing team today. Brock Purdy played incredibly well for a majority of the game. 292 yards, 3 touchdowns. Obviously, Jawan Jennings, a career day for a man who scored 2 touchdowns in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He goes 11 catches, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns.
In the Super Bowl as well.
Unbelievable, right? Great play from him. But the overriding feeling as a San Francisco 49ers fan right now is pure embarrassment. That is an unacceptable loss to be able to take on the road when you have a stadium which I reckon is 80% Niners fans. If you look at the makeup of the stadium, if you go and watch the videos on social media, and they have gone in there and they have taken a 14-point first quarter lead. They have absolutely dominated early doors with the time of possession. They have outgained this Rams team 425 yards to 296. And yes, they had the turnover, which was pretty key in the game overall. But overall, there's no way that they should be losing this game of football. And yet, everything they conspired to do late in that game, from Jake Moody missing the kick to giving up the big play late to Ronnie Bell's dropped catches. 6 dropped catches from wide receivers in this game today, absolutely killing Brock Purdy. He went 22 of 30. 6 of his 8 incompletions were dropped simple catches. If Ronnie Bell catches that very easy pass at the end of the game...
A bizarre drop pass as well, because I mean, in the commentary it said it as well. It did just, if you haven't seen it, it is thrown towards him and it hits him on the chest, essentially. It'll be, or was it his helmet? And it literally looks like he's batting it down. It looks like he's playing defensive back.
Yeah, it is. When you consider the Jawan Jennings catch that he made earlier in the game, absolutely unbelievable, going over the back of the defensive back, claiming the ball. When you consider the quality of that particular catch, when you see the drop Ronnie Bell had, he shouldn't be getting on the plane home. He should be cut from that team immediately. 2 years in the league, and he has consistently had trouble with this. And yes, there's no Debo today. And yes, there's no George Kittle today. And yes, Trent Williams goes out of the game briefly, but does come back in. And there's no CMC, and obviously that's going to keep being a problem. But this is a horrible, horrible team loss. For the second straight week, I don't want to take away from the Vikings and what their defense did. They played so multiple. They did all those disguises. They really knocked Brock Purdy off his rhythm, and they were brilliant. But you still watch that game back and you still see the spots at which San Francisco managed to absolutely beat themselves. And in this game, they absolutely beat themselves again. It's very difficult in the NFL to carry over a top 5 defense from season to season. Much more difficult than it is to carry a top tier offense over from season to season. And again, if we want to cite injuries, no Dre Greenlaw still in this team. Talanoa Hufanga just coming back. But Devondre Campbell is an experienced linebacker. He's a guy who's meant to be a coverage guy. He's a guy who's meant to have the speed to be able to carry these situations off. And yet he gives that pass interference up at the end of the game, which essentially kills the game for them, and was terrible all day long today. You look at Isaac Yiadom, who came into this after having a sensational year on your New Orleans Saints last season, and he had a good week 1. But he was terrible against the Vikings last week. Got absolutely just abused downfield. And again today had a really, really bad day. The new pieces of that defense aren't good. The play calling's not been good. They only pressured last week. Sam Darnold, they blitzed him on 3 plays. 3 plays all day long. And one of them was the 97-yard touchdown completion to Justin Jefferson. the play calling's been poor, the new additions have been poor so far, and they really need to figure out what's going wrong on that defense, because otherwise this 49ers team is in a lot of trouble going into what is not an easy schedule this year, and a team who many, including me, were half expecting to be the team out of the NFC to go and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. There's nothing so far that I can take from this outside of, because they beat themselves, those feel like mistakes you can clean up. But right now, the Seahawks have a 2-game lead over the rest of the NFC West, and the 49ers are smack bang in 4th place in that division.
Well, what difference 3 hours could make, I suppose, then, Will, especially when it comes to, as you say, the NFC West there. Because now, I mean, I was talking before, wasn't I? And I mean, I think a lot of people were talking before. The LA Rams prior to this game, it did seem like this was the 49ers to lose. And as you just say yourself, it seemed like the 49ers lost it themselves. But now the 49ers are 1-2, and the Rams, that I was saying before, really don't want to be 0-3. Well, they're not 0-3. They are now 1-2. They've got the same record with the Arizona Cardinals, also at 1-2 after losing to the Detroit Lions today, and the Seahawks. The Seahawks, who weeks ago people were saying, how are the Seahawks going to do? And I remember thinking myself, I'm not sure. That's my easiest answer was I'm not sure. Well, I know what they're doing now, and that is consistently winning games, especially at the start of the season. Anyway, from the San Francisco, go on.
It's a weird start to the season for Seattle. The key thing is they're 3-0 and they're 2 games clear in the division. They've done what San Francisco haven't been able to do, which is take games which are 50-50 games and gone and won them. And the game against the Broncos in week 1, weird. The game against the Patriots in week 2, offensively, didn't really put much together against a good Patriots defense. But we saw that team collapse against the Jets 4 days later. Yet they won that game in overtime. This game this week, they hammered a Dolphins team who, let's be honest, if you want to talk about injury problems, when you talk about the Rams and the 49ers, really bad position. But actually, the Seahawks went up 17-3 very early in this game and then let the Dolphins back into it. And the Dolphins had real opportunities to go and win that game. It wasn't until Zach Charbonnet's late touchdown that they went and won it. So the Seahawks haven't been convincing in those wins at all. But I really don't see them doing like an Eagles. I don't see them just collapsing later down the stretch. They just...
I mean, you want to play well, and this, to be fair, this sounds like a really simplified thing to say, to be honest with you, but I still believe it, which is, as much as you would love to play fantastically earlier on in the season and continue that fantastic play, the most important thing is that you play well at the end of the season and you rack up the wins now. Mm-hmm. And the Seattle Seahawks, it doesn't matter who they're playing, they're racking up the wins now, and that's why I suppose it's it's frustrating if you're a 49ers fan when you're in a position when you are going to, when you're ahead. Go on.
The 49ers run of games coming up, right? Just to illustrate your point. Patriots at home, Cardinals at home, the next 2 Sundays. Both those games live here on talkSPORT 2, 9:05 kickoffs. They need to just go and win those games of football. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter by hook or by crook. It doesn't matter if they have to go and get special teams touchdowns. It doesn't matter if they have to go and get weird on defense and throw exotic blitzes at people. It doesn't matter if they have to throw wide receiver touchdowns and all that great stuff that the Rams did this week. They have to go win those 2 games of football. Because after that, they have to go to Seattle, who by that point could easily be 5-0 based on their start to the season. Then they have to have the Chiefs in their own building, and that's on a short week to Seattle. That's a Thursday night football on a short week. And then they have to face the Kansas City Chiefs. They need to go into those games with the Seahawks and the Chiefs at least at 3-2. Well, and the game of the Chiefs ideally 4-2. Otherwise, I do start to worry that their season could fall apart quickly. They've got a road stretch later in the year where they have to go to the Bucs, who admittedly had a bad game today, the Packers and the Bills in 3 games back to back to back. You imagine that's going to be the Jordan Love Packers as well. It's a really tough schedule for them this year, which is what you get when you're a number 1 overall seed and you win your division. You have to play the other division winners. So there's no excuses to it, but it means that if you lose these games where you've got a 2-touchdown lead or a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter, then you can't claim to be a favourite in the NFC.